What is term length? Term length, when we're talking about a leasehold agreement or other agreements, but mostly about leaseholds, is how long does this agreement last? So in a situation where you have a leasehold, and you're renting a piece of real property, term length defines how long you get to possess the real property. Terms are usually expressed in years or some sort of years, but they can take any number of forms. At least in South Carolina, you're talking month to month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be. There's also an option that if you're a property owner, you probably shouldn't take, which is in effect, at your will. It's undefined. It's whenever you say that could get tricky. It's probably best to define what the term length is, whatever that may be, even if it's 18 months, 24 months. I've seen ground leases, that's a commercial thing, run up to 60 years or something like that. So the point about the term length is it defines when the renter, I'll just use that term, is supposed to vacate. So if it's a 6-month term length, after 6 months you're supposed to vacate. At that point in time, the property owner could say that you're trespassing. This also defines when things like evictions happen. Eviction would be before the end of the term length for whatever reason. The term length is the thing that helps to define those kind of things, The thing about the term length is that it should be, as with just about everything within real estate, with real property, it should be documented and not just verbal. If it is not written down somewhere in some form, on a piece of paper, on an electronic document, an email, especially for something like this, for a leasehold with a term length, you probably need like a real document, right? It could be electronic. It doesn't have to be a literal piece of paper, although they probably need to sign it. So there might be a literal piece of paper at some point in time. Although I think you can do an online option for certain things, right? It needs to be documented and not just verbal. Because when you go to enforce it with a court through, say, an eviction or with the police with trespassing, that needs to be documented so that it can be enforced. Just having a verbal agreement with someone and saying, oh, they're supposed to be here 3 months, but if you don't have documentation to back that up, you cannot enforce it in a legal manner with legal ways of doing things. Again, a court, police, sheriff, all those kind of things. It needs to be documented. I would do this even for, family members and friends, right? It doesn't need to be super complicated, but you need to write something down and have it written down, even if you are leasing to your sister, your child, your cousin, whatever that may be. That is definitely, not just in this case with a term length for, say, a leasehold, but in general for real property and real estate, you should have that documented so that it can be enforced. Right? All right. So there you have it, term length.